Evan woke up before the sun. The air was cold, the sky still dark, and his old farm felt even more silent than usual. He walked outside with a tired heart. His crops were dying again. Water was low. Work felt heavier every day. Life on the outer colonies was never easy, but this year felt worse. He bent down to check a broken water pipe when he suddenly heard something strange. A soft cry. Not human, not animal. Something different. Evan froze. His farm was far from any town. No one came here, especially not in the early morning. The crying sound came again, weak, shaking, almost like someone trying not to be heard. Evan slowly walked toward the old barn, each step careful and slow. The crying grew louder. When he turned the corner, he stopped. His breath left his chest. There, kneeling on the dirt beside the barn, was an alien woman. Her clothes were torn, her hair tangled, her skin pale from hunger. She looked like she had walked for days without rest. Her hands were shaking as she held something close to her body. Behind her, two small alien children hid. One was maybe 5 years old, the other even smaller. Their eyes were wide with fear, faces dirty from dust and tears. Evan did not speak. At first, he was shocked. Why were they here? Why on his land? Why so broken and scared? He opened his mouth to ask, but the alien mother suddenly lowered her head to the ground. She pressed her forehead into the dirt like someone begging for mercy. Her voice came out weak and cracked. Please, human, I will work your fields. Just feed my children. Evan blinked. He was not sure he heard right. Work his fields? Feed her children. Why would anyone come to him for help? Before he could ask anything, the smallest child swayed, then collapsed into the dirt. The mother tried to reach him, but she was too weak herself. Her hand barely touched his shoulder before she also fell forward, shaking. Evan rushed to lift the little one. The child's skin felt burning hot and freezing cold at the same time, sign of extreme hunger. The older child took a frightened step back, unsure if Evan was friend or enemy. Evan spoke softly. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. But the older child didn't answer. He only stared as if expecting a blow at any moment. Evan carried the fainted child into his house. He returned to the mother to help her stand, but when he touched her arm, she flinched as if expecting pain. He gently said, "You're safe. Come inside, let me help." The mother looked at him with tired, empty eyes that had seen too many horrors. Slowly, she nodded. Inside the farmhouse, the children sat at the table while Evan warmed food. The kitchen smelled of bread and soup. When he placed the plates in front of them, the children grabbed the food with shaking hands. They ate too fast, almost choking. The mother didn't touch her plate. She pushed her own food toward her children. Instead, Evan frowned. You need to eat too. But she shook her head. Her voice was almost gone when she whispered, "They come first." Evan noticed her arms. There were scars. Fresh ones. Deep ones. Not from work. From someone hurting her. He didn't ask yet. He knew she wasn't ready. After the children finished eating, Evan finally spoke. "Why are you here? What happened to you?" The mother looked down, her hands clenched. Her whole body trembled. It took her several seconds before she whispered one single word, "Hunters." Evan felt a chill. Alien hunters were known across the colonies. They tracked, they captured, they punished. But why would hunters chase a mother with 2 starving children? What crime could they have done? Evan looked at them again. The fear, the hunger, the desperation. This was not a criminal family. This was a broken family trying to survive. But something else bothered him. On the mother's neck, under her hair, a faint glowing mark pulsed slowly like a brand. Evan had seen that mark before, only once, years ago. It belonged to a powerful alien clan, one known for strict rules and brutal punishment. Why would a noble clan be hunting a starving mother and her children? Evan felt the answer in his bones before she even spoke it. They were running from something terrible. And whatever it was coming. Evan watched the alien mother as she sat near the small fire he had made in the kitchen. Her children were finally asleep, their little bodies wrapped in old blankets he found in the storage room. The house was quiet now, but the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt heavy, like the air was waiting for something. The mother sat with her hands folded in her lap, staring at the flames without blinking. The orange light showed the deep scars on her arms and the tired lines on her face. Evan had seen suffering before, but not like this. There was something different about her. Something that told him her pain was not just hunger or fear, but something deeper. He tried again softly. You can tell me. Why were hunters after you? For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she slowly lifted her head and looked right into his eyes, as if searching for something inside him. Maybe strength, maybe truth, maybe safety. Human. She whispered, voice trembling. If I tell you, you will send us away. Evan shook his head firmly. I won't. But she still hesitated. Her fingers dug into her own palms, trying to hold on to her courage. Finally she spoke. My name is Rayla, she said quietly. Her voice cracked as if speaking her own name hurt her. My children. Hero and Lyra, we belong to a noble clan, a high house. Evan nodded slowly. I thought so. The mark on your neck. Rayla flinched, instinctively raising her hand to cover the glowing mark. It is a symbol of power, she said softly. But for us, it became a curse. Evan stayed silent, letting her speak in her own time. Rayla stared into the fire again. There was famine in our region. Food ran out, crops died. My clan decided that only the strong should be fed. Only those who could work. Only those who could fight. Evan felt something cold in his stomach. And your children? Rayla swallowed hard. Too young, too weak, they were called. Unnecessary. Her voice shook. The clan planned to send them away to die quietly. No food, no shelter. Just gone. Evan felt rage rising in him. He clenched his jaw. Monsters. Rayla nodded slowly. Their rules are old and cruel. My mate, my husband, he tried to protect our children. They killed him for it. A small broken breath escaped her lips. I ran. I took the children and ran. I knew the clan would call me a criminal. I knew they would send hunters, but I had no choice. Evan leaned forward. Why come here? Why my farm? Rayla looked down. I heard rumors, she whispered. Rumors of a human who helped stranded travelers. A human who shared food even when he had little. Evan blinked. Rumors? About me? She nodded. Yes, they said you were kind. They said you would never turn away hungry children. Evan didn't know whether to feel proud or overwhelmed. But Rayla wasn't finished. When we escaped, we hid in the forest for days. The children cried from hunger. I had no food left, no water. I tried to keep them warm at night, but they grew weaker. Every step felt heavier. I thought they would die in my arms. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I came here as a last hope. I thought, if I beg, maybe the human will help. Maybe he will not chase us away. Evan took a slow breath. You should have knocked on my door, he said softly. I would have helped you without needing to beg. Rayla shook her head, tears finally falling. I didn't want to come inside without permission. And I didn't want you to see me and refuse, I thought. If I kneel on your land, you would see my heart before you saw my face. Evan's chest tightened. This woman had walked through terror, carried her children through starvation, and still had the strength to bow for help with dignity. Then Rayla's voice hardened slightly. But now that we are here, things are worse. Evan frowned. Worse? No, that now that we are here, things are worse. Why? Ryla turned her head toward the window, her eyes dark and worried. Because the hunters do not stop, they follow tracks. They smell fear. And they never, ever return empty-handed. Evan felt the same cold chill he felt earlier. How far behind are they? Ryla closed her eyes. Her voice was almost a whisper of death. By now. They know we came this way. Evan stood from his chair slowly. He felt something heavy settle in his heart. The hunters were coming. Not next week, not tomorrow. But soon, very soon. And now they weren't just hunting Ryla and her children. They were coming to his farm. His land. His home. Part 2 ended with a single icy truth echoing between them. Danger was already on its way. The next morning came quietly, with a soft orange glow spreading over Evan's fields. Birds sang, the wind was gentle, and everything looked peaceful. But Evan knew the truth. Peace was only on the surface. Underneath, danger was moving closer. With every passing hour, when Evan stepped outside, he saw something that made him pause. Ryla was already in the fields. Before sunrise. Before him, she was lifting heavy tools, her thin body shaking from exhaustion, yet she did not stop. She dug into the hard soil, pulled weeds, checked the damaged crops, and worked like someone whose life depended on it. Evan walked to her quickly. "You don't need to do this today," he said. "You need rest." "Your hands," but Ryla stepped back and lowered her head. "No rest," she whispered softly. "My children need food. I want to earn it." Evan frowned. "I didn't ask you to earn anything. I offer food freely." But Ryla shook her head firmly. "In my clan, those who do not work do not eat. I cannot allow my children to live without purpose. I must show them I am strong." Her voice was calm, but Evan heard something deeper: fear. She wasn't just working to survive. She was working to forget. Working to feel like she still had control over her life. Evan sighed and took the tool from her. "Let me help. You go rest." But Ryla reached out and held his wrist. Her fingers were cold, trembling. Her eyes bright and filled with hidden pain met his. "Please," she whispered, "let me do this. If I stop, my mind will break." Evan understood then. She had seen too many nightmares. Working kept her alive inside. He nodded slowly. "Fine, but we work together." For the next few hours, the two of them worked side by side. Ryla moved slowly, but she never complained. Even when her palms split open and small drops of blood fell on the soil, she kept going. Evan finally stopped and said sternly, "Ryla, your hands." She hid them behind her back like a child caught doing something wrong. "It is nothing," she murmured. "Pain is normal. Her whole life must have been pain. Evan gently took her hands and washed them with warm water. She flinched at first, expecting harm, but when Evan was gentle, she looked surprised, almost confused. "No one has touched my wounds kindly before," she whispered. Evan didn't know what to say. He wrapped soft cloth around her hands. Ryla watched him with wide eyes, as if trying to understand a strange new world. Afterward, they walked back toward the house. The children, Kiro and Lyra, were sitting on the porch steps. They looked sleepy but safe. When they saw their mother, they ran to her and hugged her legs tightly. Ryla bent down slowly, wincing from pain, but she smiled as she put her arms around them. For a moment, Evan saw something rare: peace on her face. But that peace didn't last long. As the morning went on, Evan kept noticing strange things. First, Ryla always looked toward the forest, her eyes scanning every tree, listening for distant sounds. Second, she kept placing the children close to the house, as if protecting them from something unseen. Third, sometimes, the faint glowing mark on her neck pulsed brighter, like a heartbeat. Evan finally asked, "What is that mark? Why does it glow?" Ryla stiffened. She touched her neck, her eyes darkening. "It is a clan seal," she said. It means I belong to a noble family. All nobles have a glowing mark. It shows loyalty. Loyalty? Evan repeated. That sounds normal. Ryla shook her head slowly. For nobles, the mark is not just a symbol. It is a tracker. Evan's heart skipped. A tracker? You mean? Yes, she whispered. When I fled, they activated the mark now. Every few hours, it sends a signal. It shows them which direction I am moving. Evan felt shock rush through him. How far away can they detect it? Rayla swallowed hard. Very far. Across valleys. Across forests. Across continents. And you didn't tell me this? Evan's voice was sharp. Ryla shook her head quickly. I feared, if you knew, you would throw us out. Evan turned away for a moment, breathing slow, trying to calm himself. He understood her fear, but this changed everything. The hunters weren't searching randomly. They were following the signal. They were coming straight toward his farm. Evan finally spoke, his voice steady but serious. We need to hide the mark. We need to hide you. We need to protect the children. Ryla looked up at him with trembling hope. You will still help us? Evan nodded. You're not alone anymore. But as he said the words, he felt something cold in the air. A distant sound, metal, engines, coming from the sky. The hunters were closer than he thought. Asterisk inside the farmhouse. The afternoon felt strangely quiet. The warm smell of fresh bread filled the kitchen, and the sunlight coming through the window made everything look peaceful. But Evan knew peace was only an illusion. Every minute the hunters were getting closer, following the signal on Ryla's neck. Ryla was trying to rest, but she kept waking up, her eyes scanning the windows. She was exhausted, shaking from stress, but she still refused to sleep deeply. Her mind was too afraid to trust safety. The children, Kiro and Lyra, sat near the small heater. Their small hands wrapped around warm cups of water. They were cleaner now, their faces washed, their hair brushed, yet their eyes still held the shadows of fear. Evan sat with them. He wanted answers. Ryla was too afraid to give completely. So he asked softly, Kiro, can you tell me what happened? I want to help your family, but I need to understand. Kiro looked at his sister first, as if asking permission. Lyra nodded weakly and held his hand tighter. Kiro took a small breath. His voice was soft, too soft for a child, who should be playing outside, not running for his life. Our clan. They said there was not enough food, Kiro whispered. They said children like us were a burden. Evan clenched his jaw. A burden? Kiro nodded, his eyes dropping to the floor. They only feed the strongest, the warriors, the elders, the ones with power. Lyra leaned into her brother and whispered, they didn't want us. Evan felt his heart twist painfully. No child should ever say those words. He spoke carefully. Your mother told me your father tried to protect you. Kiro's eyes filled with tears instantly. He nodded slowly. Father hid us in a storage room. He gave us his food. Even when he had nothing left, he still smiled at us. Lyra wiped her eyes with her small sleeve. But someone told the clan leaders. Someone told them we were stealing food. The way she said it, like it was a crime, cut deep into Evan. What happened then? He asked gently. Kiro swallowed hard before answering. They came at night. Warriors, big ones. They dragged father outside. Mother begged them to stop. She cried and promised to work harder. But they said she was weak, and weak people spoil the bloodline. Evan felt a cold anger burning inside him. Every word made him want to punch something. Kiro continued, his voice trembling. They beat father, then they hurt mother. I tried to help her, but they pushed me. Lyra screamed. Lyra's small shoulders shook as she remembered. One warrior held me so I couldn't run. Father said he loved us. Then she couldn't finish. She covered her face and cried. Evan moved closer and gently placed his hand on her back. "It's okay. You're safe now," he said softly. Kiro wiped his tears and forced himself to continue, brave despite the pain. Mother would have died, too, but Father used the last of his strength. He attacked the warriors. He shouted for us to run. Lyra whispered, "He saved us. He died so we could live." The room fell silent. Evan felt a storm of emotions, pain, anger, sympathy, and something else. Something stronger. Respect. This alien father had died fighting for his children, just like any good human father would. That was humanity. That was love, and that was something no cruel clan could erase. Kiro continued. Mother grabbed us and ran. We ran for days. But the hunters were close. They almost caught us twice. Mother fought them too, even when she could barely walk. Lyra nodded. She never slept. She carried me when I cried. She told us we would find a good place, a safe place. Evan felt his heart clench again. "Is that why you came to my farm?" he asked softly. Kiro nodded. Mother heard the humans here were kind. She said humans protect children. She said maybe a human would help us. Evan breathed in sharply. He hadn't done anything special, but to them, he was hope. Lyra suddenly leaned forward and grabbed Evan's sleeve with both hands. Her eyes were big and pleading. "Please don't let them take Mother," she whispered. "If they take her, they will take us, and we will die there." Evan felt his decision settle inside him like a heavy stone. He wasn't just helping a starving family anymore. He was protecting them. He placed a hand gently on both children's shoulders. "I'm not letting anyone take any of you. Not your mother. Not you. Not ever." Kiro looked up with a flicker of hope. "Humans really help like that?" Evan nodded. "Yes, and I'll show you." Before he could say more, Ryla appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame. Her eyes glistened with emotion. She had heard everything. But behind the emotion, Evan saw fear. Not fear of him. Fear of something outside. She whispered one word that froze his blood. "They're here." The moment Ryla whispered, "They're here," the air inside the farmhouse changed. It felt heavier, colder, like a storm rolling in before lightning strikes. Evan didn't need to ask who they were. The fear in her eyes said everything. Kiro and Lyra pressed closer to their mother, shaking. Rayla tried to stay strong for them, but even her voice trembled. They followed the signal, faster than I expected. Evan moved to the window and slowly pulled the curtain aside. His heart nearly stopped. Dark shapes moved through the trees. Tall figures, armored, their helmets glowing with cold blue scanners. And behind them, small robotic drones hovering. Silently, searching every inch of land. The hunters had arrived. Evan whispered, "They're scanning the whole valley." Rayla closed her eyes, pain tight on her face. "They will come to the house. They always come to the strongest hiding place first." Evan turned sharply. "We need to hide you and the children." Now he guided them toward the back of the house, down the narrow hallway, to a wooden door half covered by an old coat rack. Behind it was a hidden stairway leading underground, an old storage room that Evan had rebuilt years ago for storms. It was small but strong. He opened the door quickly. "Get inside," he said firmly. "Stay quiet. Don't move until I tell you." But Ryla grabbed his arm. "No, if they find you helping us, they will kill you too." Evan looked straight into her eyes. His voice held no fear. "I won't let them take you." Her breath shook. "Why? Why risk your life for us?" Evan swallowed. "Because this is my home. And you came here for help. That's enough for me." For a moment, Rayla looked like she wanted to cry. But she didn't. She pulled her children into the hidden room and pulled the blanket over them, like a shield. Before going inside, she whispered, "May the stars protect you, human." Evan shut the door quietly and moved back to the kitchen, trying to calm his breathing. Then bang! A fist slammed against his front door. Evan froze. Bang! Bang! Open the door. Human identified. We require entry. The hunters' voices were metallic and cold. They were not asking, they were ordering. Evan wiped his hands on his shirt and tried to keep calm. He opened the door slowly. 3 alien hunters stood there, taller than him, covered in dark silver armor. Their glowing visors scanned every movement he made. Behind them, more hunters spread out across his field, checking the barn, the tractor, the crops. They were like wolves searching for prey. The leader stepped forward. "You are Evan Carter. Human farmer. Records show you live alone." "Yes," Evan replied evenly. "We detected unauthorized alien signals on your land." Evan's face stayed calm. "Must be a mistake." "I haven't seen anyone." The hunter's visor flashed. He was analyzing Evan's heartbeat. "You are lying." Evan's stomach tightened, but he didn't back down. "No aliens here, only me." The hunter leaned forward. "Move aside, we will search." Evan stepped into the doorway, blocking them. "No, this is private property." The second hunter lifted his arm, revealing a weapon attached to his wrist sharp. Humming with energy. Evan kept his voice steady. "You touch anything here, and I report your clan to the colony council. You know humans and council law don't mix well for you." The hunters paused. They weren't scared, but they were cautious. Human laws protected humans strongly. And if a clan violated a human's property, it could start political trouble. The leader finally spoke. "We will search your land. If we detect the fugitives, you will be punished." Evan forced a small shrug. "Do what you need to do. You won't find anything." The hunters pushed past him and began searching every corner of the farmhouse. They opened cabinets. They scanned walls. They kicked furniture aside. Evan's heart pounded louder with each second. If they found the storage door, if they found Ryla and the children, everything would end. Minutes felt like hours. Then one of the hunters stopped near the hallway. His visor flashed. "Energy readings, something hidden here." Evan's blood turned cold. The storage room. The hunter raised his weapon toward the door. Evan acted instantly. He stepped between the hunter and the door. "That's just the storm shelter," he said quickly. "Hold, broken, useless." The hunter shoved him aside hard. Evan crashed into the wall. He lifted his weapon again, aiming at the hidden door. Kiro and Lyra were inside. Ryla too. Evan's breath caught. He could not let that door open. The hunter reached for the handle. Evan stood up, grabbed a metal bar from the floor, and stepped forward, fearless despite shaking. "You're not opening that." The leader turned slowly toward him. "You dare obstruct a hunter?" Vivan's voice was steady, strong, human. "I dare protect the innocent." For the first time, the hunters hesitated. Humans rarely stood against them. But this human, this simple farmer, was willing to fight. Outside, the hum of engines grew louder. More hunters were landing. The real battle was only seconds away. Asterisk. Evan stood between the hunters and the hidden door, gripping the metal bar tightly. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what he had decided. He wasn't just protecting strangers anymore. He was protecting a family. The leader of the hunters stepped closer, each metallic footstep echoing through the hallway. "You protect criminals," he said coldly. "You hide fugitives. This is a violation of clan law." Evan raised his chin. "And hurting children is a violation of every moral in the universe." The hunter tilted his head, confused by the fava courage in Evan's voice. Humans were supposed to be fragile, weak, easily scared. But this farmer stood like a soldier. The hunter lifted his wrist weapon, glowing bright with energy. "Move, human. You cannot win." Evan didn't move. "I don't have to win," he said quietly. "I just have to keep you here long enough." The hunters exchanged glances. Long enough for what? One asked Dot before Evan could answer. A loud thud sounded from outside, followed by shouting. A new group of hunters had landed on the farm. Their engines made the ground vibrate. Dot inside the cellar. Rila heard them too. She covered Kiro and Lyra with her arms as the rumbling shook dust from the ceiling. Mother, they found us? Lyra whispered, voice breaking. Not yet, Rila whispered, though her heart raced. Dot above them. Evan faced the hunters alone. The leader stepped forward. If you interfere again, you will be eliminated. Evan stared into the glowing visor. Do it then, he replied, voice steady. But I won't let you touch that door. The hunter raised his weapon to fire, and then boom. A sudden burst of light exploded behind them. Rayla had stepped out of the hidden door, her body glowing fiercely. She was trembling, weak. But her eyes were full of fire. No, she cried. Do not hurt him. The hunters turned instantly, weapons aimed at her. Evan's heart sank. Rayla, go back inside. But she shook her head. They will kill you. I cannot hide while you stand. Alone for my children. Energy crackled around the hunters. The mark on Rayla's neck glowed, brighter than ever, almost blinding. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Fast, loud, alive. The leader hissed. You dare show your face, traitor? Surrender now, and we may spare your offspring. Rayla stepped in front of Evan, shielding him despite being half his size. You will not touch them. You will not touch him. Evan grabbed her arm and pulled her behind him again. You're not taking the blast for me. But Rayla shook her head fiercely. You risked your life for mine. Now I risk mine for yours. The hunters raised their weapons. And then something strange happened. Kiro and Lyra ran out of the cellar, crying loudly. Stop! Don't hurt him. Leave our mother alone. The hunters lowered their weapons in confusion. They were trained to kill warriors, fighters, rebels, not starving children. The leader pointed at Rayla. You escaped your clan. You broke the seal. Your life is no longer yours. Rayla stood tall for the first time, despite blood dripping from her palms. My life is for my children. She looked at Evan, and he is the only one who showed us mercy. The leader turned to Evan again. You want to protect them? Then die with them. He lifted his weapon. Evan moved faster than anyone expected. He grabbed a bag of fertilizer behind him and smashed it into the hunter's visor. White powder exploded everywhere. The hunter roared as the visor malfunctioned. Before the other hunters could react, Rayla raised her hands. The glowing mark on her neck exploded with light bright enough to blind them all. A shockwave burst from her body, sending the hunters flying back down the hallway. Evan fell to his knees, covering the children with his arms. The walls shook. Furniture toppled. The lights flickered and died. When everything finally went silent, Rayla collapsed. The glowing mark dimmed to almost nothing. Evan rushed to her side. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale. He held her shoulders gently. Rayla, stay with me. Her eyes opened slowly. You protected us, she whispered. Now my strength is gone. Evan looked at the hunters on the floor. They were unconscious, but not for long. He lifted Rayla into his arms. We're not done yet, not even close. Kiro held his mother's hand. Is she going to die? He asked, voice shaking. Evan met the child's eyes with fierce determination. No, he said firmly. We survived together. Outside, more engines roared. More hunters were coming. The final battle was moments away. Evan carried Rayla outside just as the second wave of hunters landed. Their ships hovered above the farm, sending dust and leaves swirling into the air. More armored figures jumped out faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than the first group. Kiro and Lyra ran beside Evan, clutching his clothes tightly. Rayla lay weak in his arms, her head resting against his chest, eyes half closed. Her breath came in short, painful gasps. "Evan," she whispered, "leave me. Take the children and go." Evan shook his head fiercely. "No, we stay together." The lead hunter of the new group stepped forward. He was taller than the others, with a bright gold visor. He carried a heavy staff that hummed with electric power. He was a commander. He pointed the staff at Evan. "Human, surrender the traitor. Surrender the children, and I will let you live." Evan stepped back, placing Rayla gently against the wall of the barn. His heart pounded, but he kept his voice steady. "No, they are under my protection." The commander tilted his head. "You protect outsiders, weak ones, starving ones? Your kind is foolish." Evan clenched his fists. "No, my kind is human. And humans don't abandon families." Kiro stepped in front of Evan, shaking but brave. "She is our mother. You can't take her." Lyra spread her arms, trying to shield Rayla with her tiny body. "Go away. Leave us alone." The commander raised his staff. "If you will not obey, you will die with them." He swung the staff down, but Evan moved, not away, not to hide. He ran forward and tackled the commander with everything he had. The commander hit the ground hard. The other hunters roared and moved in, but Evan rolled aside, grabbed a metal pipe from the ground, and swung it with all his strength. It smashed into a hunter's shoulder, sending sparks flying. Another hunter lunged at him, but Evan dodged, grabbing a shovel from the barn wall and striking the hunter's helmet. The impact rang like a bell. He fought wildly, not with skill, but with pure heart. It was messy, it was reckless, but it was brave. Rayla watched with wide eyes. Her whole life she had seen strong warriors, but she had never seen anyone fight like this human, fighting not for honor, but for her children. The commander stood again, furious. "You fight like an animal," he snarled. Evan spat dust from his mouth. "I fight like a father." The commander raised his staff high. Electricity crackled. A blow that could kill a full-grown alien warrior charged in the air. Rayla felt terror fill her chest. "No!" she screamed. Her mark flickered weakly, too weak to release another shockwave. The commander struck and missed. A deep vibration echoed across the entire valley. A new ship appeared in the sky, huge, dark, and marked with the noble clan symbol. Ryla's eyes widened. "My clan!" The hunters froze. They bowed instantly. The commander dropped his staff from the ship. A noble elder stepped out, tall, silent, wearing long robes of authority. His gaze fell on Rayla first, then on her children, then on Evan, bloody, bruised, sweating, still holding the broken shovel like he was ready to fight all of them alone. The elder spoke softly. "Hunters, stand down." The hunters obeyed. Rayla pushed herself to her feet. With difficulty, "Elder, please. My children did nothing wrong." The elder looked at the two little ones, then at the fading glow on Ryla's neck. "You broke the seal to save them. You dishonored the clan. But you did it as a mother." He turned to Evan. "And you, human, you fought our hunters. Why?" Evan wiped blood from his lip. "Because there are no weak children. No unnecessary children. Only children who need love. And because she asked me for help." The elder studied him for a long moment. Then he bowed his head slightly. "A noble act. Braver than many warriors," Rayla gasped. Kiro and Lyra clung to each other, unsure what would happen. The elder raised his hand. "You and your children are pardoned. The clan acknowledges its failure. The famine is over. You may return if you wish." Rayla's eyes filled with tears. Return? After everything they suffered? She looked at Evan, the one who gave them food, shelter, protection, hope. She stepped closer to him. Her voice was trembling but full of emotion. "I do not wish to return. To them, I choose my children's safety. And I choose the human who saved us." Evan blinked. "Rayla." She knelt something nobles never did and lowered her head. We have nothing to give, no land, no wealth, but if you allow it, we wish to stay here with you. Kiro grabbed Evan's hand. Can we stay, please? Lyra hugged his leg. We want to help on the farm. Evan felt his chest tighten. In that moment, he realized his home had felt empty for years. Now it felt alive. He smiled softly. You're already home. The elder nodded once. So be it. The clan will not approach this land again. He turned and boarded his ship. The hunters followed, silent and ashamed. The ship rose, then vanished into the clouds. The valley became quiet once more. Evan looked at the alien mother and her children. No longer starving, no longer hunted. A new family had formed, not by blood, but by choice. Ryla whispered, "Thank you, human." Evan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Welcome home,